Hi, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Caroline and I am a registered yoga teacher specialising in yoga for women's health. So this practice is for the luteal phase of the menstrual cycle, which is typically the longest phase. It can last around 12 days for most of us, maybe shorter, maybe longer, just depends on your own cycle. If practicing along with your menstrual cycle is new to you, I have a free downloadable guide to introduce you to the concept, and it also has a chart that you can use to map your own menstrual cycle, which you may find helpful. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You might need a couple of props. I'm actually using a couple of bricks to sit up on. You will need one brick at least, or something you can use in its place, like a sturdy book or a cushion. I'm going to start in hero's pose. So I am actually going to sit up onto my blocks because I find it a little bit uncomfortable for my knees. But if you're able to sit and your bottom essentially touches the ground with the feet either side, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, just prop yourself up onto something. Or if it's really uncomfortable for your knees, just take a seat for the first part of this. So once you get yourself comfortable, I'm just going to close down the eyes, relax the arms, maybe resting the hands onto the thighs, relaxing the shoulders, just let the shoulders drop down and away from the ears. We're just going to take a few breaths here, just settling in, just checking in with yourself, just noticing how your breath feels today, how your body feels, how your mood is. I always like to start a practice with just a minute or so checking in. You can learn so much in that short amount of time about how you're feeling. And we do it without judgment. Everything is fine. All feelings are valid. We're just noticing so that we can be aware of this as we move through our practice and also moving through our day. You might find during the luteal phase, at the start you might feel full of that energy still from ovulation, and that's perfectly normal. You might feel like doing some stronger practices still, and that's okay. But towards the end, a lot of us will start to get those sort of PMS symptoms, feeling tired, maybe feeling achy, getting cramps. Our moods may change, we might be more irritable, we may even be more anxious. So with that in mind, this practice is going to be focusing on grounding and a bit more slow and stretchier, so we can help alleviate any symptoms that we might experience around this time. When you're ready, you can blink the eyes open. We're just going to move through a short grounding sequence here. Sorry, my brick's just digging in me slightly. So make sure that you're comfortable sat where you are. I'm going to bring the hands together in front of the heart space. I'm going to inhale, interlace the hands, just bring the hands up to shoulder height. As you exhale, turn the palms, press them forwards and really round through the spine. Allow the head to drop. It's a bit like a seated cat and cow. Inhale, take the hands up overhead. Very similar to the flow we did in ovulation. And exhale, release the hands down behind the back. Interlace the hands. As you inhale, draw the knuckles down, lift the chest, maybe looking up if that feels okay for your neck. And keeping the hands clasped together, on the exhale, we're going to dive forwards into a variation of child's pose. arms reaching up overhead. So if, like me, you're seated a little bit higher, you might need a cushion to prop in front of you for your head. And then lifting back up, inhale. Exhale, bringing the hands back to heart center. We'll run through that 3 more times. So inhale, interlace the hands, raise to shoulder height. Exhale, press the palms away, round. Inhale, arms raise. Maybe look up, see if you can really arch through the lower back. And exhale, release the hands behind the back. Inhale, draw the knuckles down, lift through the chest, maybe looking up. And exhale, diving forwards, taking the arms up and over. Inhale, lift you back up. And exhale, bring the hands to heart center. Inhale, interlace the hands, raise them up. And exhale, press the palms away, round. Inhale, lifting up, arch through the spine. And exhale, release the hands behind the back. Maybe play around with placing the opposite thumb on top. Next inhale, draw the knuckles down, lift the chest, look up. And exhale, coming forwards, take the arms overhead. Inhale, lifting back up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Last time. Inhale, hands interlace, raise them up. And exhale, press them away. Inhale, take the arms overhead. And exhale, release the hands behind the back, interlace. Inhale, draw those knuckles down, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the chest. Exhale, diving forwards. Inhale, lifts you back up, and exhale to bring the hands to heart center. Just going to pause here for a couple of breaths. You might like to close your eyes. Just notice how you feel now you've done some movement with the breath. It's a really good way of helping to center us and ground us. Lovely. And then we're going to come to all fours now. So just moving your props off to one side. You just need one block or a cushion further towards the end. If your feet feel like they need a bit of a stretch, you can just go ahead and bang them a little bit onto your mat. It might feel really good. And then we're going to tuck the toes under, lifting the hips up and back to find downward facing dog. And just spend a few breaths here, gently pedaling out the legs, giving them a stretch. Don't worry about the shape that you're making. This is more about stretching out the legs. Being in that hero's pose for a couple of minutes can make us a little bit tight in the legs, or we might have a few kinks we need to iron out. So just really enjoy this stretch. And then going to slowly walk towards the top of the mat into a forward fold. And when you get there, bend the knees really deeply. It might feel nice to allow the belly to rest on the thighs as you take opposite elbows with opposite hands. And just allow the upper body to dangle, maybe moving, swaying. There's no right or wrong. If stillness feels right today, then be still. And we're going to drop the hands back to the ground. Really slowly start to roll our way up to stand. Keep the knees nice and bent as you do this. So really focusing on the spine, stacking one vertebra on top of the other. The head will be the last thing to rise. Straightening the legs as you come up. Lovely. I'm just going to turn to face you. You can stay exactly where you are on your mat, or you can come to the centre. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going to take a nice side bend. Just going to inhale, take the arms up overhead. I'm going to take the left wrist, grab it with the right hand, then stepping that left foot behind the right. I'm going to side bend over to the right. Really see if you can pull that wrist and lengthen. So you feel the stretch all the way from the wrist right down the left side of the body, right the way down to the foot. So keep that left leg straight. You can bend into the right knee. Might help you to get a little bit deeper. And coming back up to centre. Just unravel everything. We'll go to the other side. So taking the right wrist with the left hand, stepping that right foot behind. And then pulling that right arm over. Nice side stretch. Keep the right leg straight. Lovely. And coming back up to centre. Release the arms down, unravel the legs. I'm going to step the legs out wide now. I want to bring the heels in and the toes out. Place the hands onto the thighs and just start to bend the knees, drop your centre into a variation of goddess. I'm just going to gently move side to side, just some intuitive movement here, just easing into our hips. You don't need to come down as low as I am. If it feels more appropriate for you to be higher up, you can. And I know this can get a little bit much on the thighs if we're not used to doing these sort of squatting positions. So anytime you need to, just stand up straight and release the thighs for a moment. And we're going to come to centre in stillness. We're just going to drop that left shoulder into the midline, pull that right shoulder back and glance over your shoulder. Inhale, come back to centre. Right shoulder dips in, left shoulder pulls back. Once more to each side. Just be mindful that the legs are staying nice and active and pressing out. We're not allowing the knees to roll in. And back to centre, lovely. Place that right forearm on the right thigh, left arm reaches up and over. And taking that same side bend to the other side. Back to centre, and then press up to stand. You can give your legs a little bit of shake. Whew, starting to feel the burn a little bit then. Then we're going to bring the feet parallel, so they're parallel to the short edges of your mat. Bring the hands onto the hips. We're just going to inhale, lengthen up through the spine, exhale, hinging forwards. Bring the hands down in front of you. And then walk the hands as far forward as you can, at the same time as pressing the hips back. So it's a little bit like a downward dog version of a forward fold. I really love this one. It feels really nice through the spine. If you need to bend your knees a little, you absolutely can. And then walking the hands back underneath you. We're going to come into a side squat now. So we're going to start by walking the hands over towards the right, bending into that right leg. Drop the weight, and if you're able to, turn the foot so the toes face up towards the ceiling. Keep the hands on the ground. Don't worry if your heel is lifted. Not everybody can keep their foot flat in this. It just depends how tight your calves are. And then we're going to walk all the way over to the same position in the other side. And we're just going to move back and forth between each side. So if this is not good for your knees, and they're screaming at you right now, from your forward fold, you can keep your hands on the ground and just gently bend towards each side as much as you feel comfortable to do. Everybody should be able to bend a little bit. So you're still going to feel that stretch on the inner thighs. So just work with where you're at, and it may be different from day to day. Some days my knees just will not allow me to do this. Take it nice and slow. So you might find after a few times you're able to go a little bit deeper. Might feel a little bit easier. Lovely. Next time you come to the right, we're going to spin around towards the top of the mat, step that left foot in. So we're in our forward fold. Now I just want you to step both feet back, lower to the knees. So we're coming into tabletop, wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're going to come into a puppy pose. I want you to try your best to keep the hip directly over the knee. It is a little bit difficult to see what's happening once you're in this position. So from our tabletop, we're simply walking the hands forwards and then melting the head and the heart towards the ground. If you need to place something underneath your head, you can do that. So once you're here, you'll probably get a sense that you're really sticking your bottom up in the air. Just taking some nice soft belly breaths. Allowing the body to rise and fall with the flow of your breath. And slowly starting to walk the hands back towards you, lifting up. Just going to swing the legs to one side and come to take a seat. We're going to be coming down onto our backs now. If you want to, go ahead and grab one of your blocks or a cushion. Just keep it handy next to you. Slowly use the arms to lower yourself down. Keeping the knees bent, soles of the feet flat to the ground. Arms long down by the sides. Just see if you can shuffle the feet a little bit closer to your bottom. We'll be coming into a few bridge poses now. So take a nice inhale and exhale. Next inhale, press into the feet, lift the hips. You don't have to lift them super high, just as high as feels okay. And exhale, coming back down. Inhale, lift. Press the hips up. And exhale, back down. We're going to add in some movement with the arms now. So as you inhale, I'm going to lift the hips, lift the arms up and take them back. Maybe the palms, back of the palms meet the ground, maybe they don't. Exhale, rolling back down, lower the arms back down by the sides. Inhale, lift, arms go back. And exhale to lower. Last time, inhale, lift. And we're going to pause here, grab that block that you had next to you and just place it underneath your sacrum, so underneath the pelvis, the hips. Maybe you have it on the lowest setting, maybe the medium, maybe the highest, or if you've got cushions, just place it underneath your pelvis. You can keep the legs bent exactly as they are, arms down by the sides. Or if it feels okay for you, your lower back might be a little bit fussy here, but you could extend your legs out long. Just depends how it feels in your body. I prefer to keep my knees bent because my back just doesn't like it. We want to show ourselves compassion and really listen. If it feels like a bit too much effort for you, then it's not the right pose for you. Just allow the weight of the body to sink down while you enjoy this gentle inversion. So the heart is higher than the head. Any pose where the heart is higher than the head is an inversion. Inversions are a really good way to help us regulate our nervous system, to help calm us and to ground us. So if you're experiencing any anxiety, this can be really helpful. Lovely. From here, we're just going to press into the feet to lift the hips and then turn your block onto its lowest setting. Resting the pelvis back down. And I just want you to float your legs up. So the legs should feel weightless, really. And just allow them to really relax. So if they start to bend and fall in towards your body and that feels okay for you, just allow that to happen. There's absolutely no right or wrong. You don't need to muscularly keep the legs up in the air. If they want to fall, let them fall. Just allow them to feel weightless. And you might start to feel some tingling through the legs. It's perfectly normal. It's just blood flowing in the opposite direction. This is a really great pose to do if you suffer from things like restless leg syndrome. Just a couple of minutes doing this, or legs up the wall. This is the same as legs up the wall, just we're not using a wall. It can be really great to ease that. And then we'll release the legs back down. Gently press into the feet so you can lift the hips and remove your prop. And then I'm going to bring the knees in towards the body and then part them. So taking them out wide, just holding onto the knees. And this might be where you stay. You might like this version. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you need more of a stretch. I'm going to reach for the outer edges of the feet and come into happy baby. The soles of the feet shining up towards the sky. And the ankles stacked over the knees. Just aiming to bring the knees down to the outside of the ribs. And you might want to gently rock side to side. Or you might want to come back to this version and gently rock here. As I said, it's just about listening to your body, seeing which version of poses suits you today. And then we'll release the legs to the ground, taking the legs out long, arms out to the sides, take up some space, and closing down the eyes. Any fidgeting you need to do out of the way, so we can just find some stillness for a couple of minutes. Closing down the eyes, allowing the whole body to relax. Just allowing your breath to return to its own natural rhythm. Just noticing any subtle changes, if any, in your body. Also in your mind and in your mood. Just allow the body to relax while you mentally scan through your body. If you have more time to spare, I invite you to stay here a little longer. If you're ready to move on with your day, start to make some small movements, so just wiggling fingers and toes, bringing back some small movement. Maybe reach the arms up overhead, take a full body stretch. And then bending into the knees, just gently roll onto one side, pausing here for a moment. And then using your hands to press back up to take a seat. Lovely. Thank you so much for allowing me to lead you through this practice today. I really hope you found it helpful and that you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a comment. Let me know how you got on. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And I hope to practice again with you soon.